All right, camera, OBS, that is ready. Cool. Hello everyone. It's been a while since I talked to you one-on-one like this in a bigger video context. So, you saw the title. Recently, for the last 3 months, I've been working on my biggest personal project yet. And if you know me, or if you know the kind of stuff I used to do before, I always used to work on personal projects that was like just either a couple of hours or like some days at a time. I have my portfolio right there. I always work on like small components that are like usually more graphics that do not take a lot of time for me to develop and are usually just like a big sprint over a short period of time to learn something new. And I thought to myself, well, why not get used to bigger things just to get used to work with bigger code base, learn new things, how to manage my own projects, and especially work on a big project stamina. Because my small research projects, whether it is like, I don't know, Blender, WebGL, stuff like that, yes, they are good and they teach me a bunch of things, but I don't think they teach me how to stay consistent with bigger projects. I am more usually graphics based in terms of what I like to do. This is, for example, a course I did on WebGL, and I am always interested by technologies like this. So WebGL, 3JS, Unity, that kind of good stuff. And I am usually more interested about the end product itself and not about learning how to properly code, usually. As well as teaching me all of that, it's also a good thing for me to create content on this bigger project. And with that, I gave myself the challenge to create every week one piece of content related to it, explaining what I'm doing and just get comfortable with the camera. Why doing that? I truly believe that like a good online image and how to properly talk to a camera is way better than just like a written down portfolio. Let's say someone is interested in working with me, they can directly see who I am, how I work, my voice, and like everything based on it. And also just for me, it's a good way to see my progress, either both with the way I code or in the content more in general. So yeah, I've been publishing these little shorts on my more tech-oriented Instagram page, as you can see right there. Also on this YouTube channel in the short section. TikTok as well, even though like, by the way, I'm not a TikTok guy, not too much, but like this is where I've been getting the most views. So yeah, because you can see right now on YouTube, not the best numbers you can ever see, but you know, I enjoy the process and this is what matters. And so if I already have those little shorts, what is the goal of this video? Essentially, show you what has been done and the blockers around it, maybe give you inspiration for someone else. I also enjoy like little case studies about like random ass projects because like it does give me ideas later down the line. Also to exchange. And if someone sees this and tech-wise would like to give an opinion, just go ahead. I know engineers have a pretty big God complex and like to pretend that they know everything. I'm one of these people. But yeah, it's always good to learning new things from other people. And let's get the conversation going. So first of all, what was that project about? The project is called Sips.io. It's what I called a community-driven drinking game. To give you the idea behind this, in France, we have a pretty well-known party game called Piccolo. Essentially how it works, it's very simple and like there are multiple different versions of this game, whether it is like in France or like in the US or whatever. In France, it's an app where like you arrive on it, you add a bunch of players, you start the game and you have random rules displayed on it. For example, let's say like Marius and I don't know, Michael is playing. One of the cards could be drawn and be like, Marius gives 10 sips to Michael. Michael and Marius go do a dance off, the loser drinks, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. That's very simple. And in France, that game is free, but you have access to like more different types of cards. But you need to pay for those. And also you just need to download an application, which I think is like a little bit stupid for something that is like that easy. So I thought to myself, why not recreating that? So this is already what I've been doing. So that right now, like the actual online version that you can access, that is on a Versal app right now, you can access it and it works. That's very simple and like you already seen that thing multiple times. So like, yeah, you have the name of the card and the type that it is and the actual thing that is displayed on there. You can go through, I'm gonna go for it, and there you go. That's the idea of the app. My first thought was like trying to recreate that, but add a card creation on top of it. Those little rules that you see written right there, like I call those cards. And like essentially give the user the opportunity to create his own sets of rules when he connects to the actual page. Like, let's say you're going to a party or whatever, you have private jokes with your friends. Well, you can yourself create the actual cards themselves. And so, yeah, that's the idea. This is the UI right now. This is the Figma of the project right now. So yeah, using user authentication, and then you have access to like your own set of cards that you can create yourself and like share them with the rest of the world. That's the idea. And then later on, once that is done, is essentially having the ability to like tag particular cards and make particular decks available to the rest of the world. For example, like, I don't know, I live in Budapest right now, having a deck that has like specific jokes or like rules related around it. If you like skiing, I don't know, something related to that, something a little bit more like, I don't know, like on Piccolo, like a little bit more kinky or like flirty or whatever. You can go wherever you want with this idea. Essentially, imagine Piccolo with user authentication and the ability to create your own cards. That's it. And so, what has been done in this project right now? What were the blockers and how did I do it? The project was done with Next.js. I've been using Vue.js for the longest time and I've been slowly transitioning to React. Just first of all to learn, and also because like I know it's a pretty well-known tool right now in the dev industry and it would be dumb to not learning at some point. So like that was some time ago. And then I saw Next, and with the SSR, like server-side rendering capabilities, it did make sense for me to like retrieve cards, pre-render them on the website, and like having all of that happening. Also with user authentication, yeah, Next just made sense. And also I just wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So yeah, Next for the front-end parts, and with something that maybe was a mistake, I don't know, TypeScript. I think I did do a short, or that it's not out yet, about TypeScript. Essentially, it's an amazing thing. Like for bigger companies and projects, like it does make sense. You essentially write more code for it to be more visible and for people to jump in and like directly know what goes where, the inputs and outputs of particular components. It's very easy to read. What about coding though? It was tough in the beginning. I guess I'm getting used to it right now, but like the types gymnastics that you have to make it sometimes, it feels super clunky and like very, very unnecessary to do it alone. The thing is though, I am sure what I am learning right now will help me at some point in my professional career, because I know TypeScript is a big thing in bigger corporations, and it just like, it can be for a freelance project. I don't know, we have multiple devs on it, we like to communicate a little bit better, boom, TypeScript, and now I am banging my head against my desk today, and maybe this is something that will not happen when I will be on a bigger project than just like something personal as a shitty online game. And also, it just forces me to create better infrastructure. Like for example, the store management, we are going to come about it in a sec. Like yeah, like global states, since I write more code, I don't want to write like one big store for like everything. I have to section things, for example, right there with the authentication, the actual cards, the game settings, that kind of stuff. Like in the past, I think with JS and with ZooStand, I would have dumped everything in a gigantic store. Right now, with the use of interfaces, it feels way cleaner to have that all segmented. And so yeah, that's just one example, but like the structure in general, I think feels better when I am using TypeScript, because I am just forced to like section my code. I don't like gigantic files. I'm more of trying to segment everything all like small and neat and navigate between multiple files. So yeah, while you're on the subject, ZooStand. Why not Redux? I do use Redux on my day-to-day on professional projects. Redux to me feels super clunky. Yeah, coming from Vue with the very cute, very simple Vue store, I arrived on React and I saw the Redux pipeline with like the gigantic, all things considered, the gigantic boilerplate with the use of slices, that kind of stuff. I was like, why do I do this to myself? I am sure there is something better to use than like this big enterprise level global state manager. And yes, there is. One of my good friends, who is recognize himself if he is watching this, talked to me about ZooStand. Essentially, it feels like I'm going to trigger so many people right now. It's the Vue store for React. I'm sorry, I said it. But yeah, very easy to put in place. You have an amazing hook to be able to play around. And yeah, it just feels way less clunky. And it's also very, very, very used. Like if I go on the NPM repo, yeah, like almost 2 million downloads weekly. It's a big thing with a big community, and it does work. And also, local storage management. That is pretty nice with Persist. I didn't know it was a thing. I thought about using local storage at some point, but like I just saw that on Zeus, and it was just a very simple option. Like for example, on my auth store right now, yeah, there you go. You just pass in a persist function. Everything that is in here is going to be related to the global storage. You can get them, retrieve them however you want. And that's amazing. One line and you're good. Okay, now we are getting into the controversial topic. For the backend, I do not consider myself a backend developer. My full-time job is full stack web engineer, but I am more of a front-end guy than a backend guy. I know databases, infrastructures. I kind of know how they work. I did deploy a couple. And I did want to learn a little bit more about that. But I was like, do I go all in and try to like build something from scratch with my deploys and stuff with like Prisma and Postgres? I could have done that. But I was also, you know, there are some ready-made things that would be like just perfect for like a small projects like this. And one of those is Firebase. I enjoy Firebase. I did create online games before, and this is how I track, like, for example, high scores and stuff like this. Firebase is just so plug and play. It's amazing. And still, even though I used it before, it does teaches me new things with Next, like how to properly retrieve data, filter it in the right way, and that kind of stuff. It's great. And also, the free tier is more than enough for me. Like, honestly. If, for whatever reason, this project takes off, maybe I would change to something else, something a little bit more either personal or like go to something bigger. Maybe then I would change. But right now, it feels good. And also it's still in development. And like, it's just so plug and play so fast. I just like it. Oh yeah. UX and UI. Something I don't like to do is planning. On my previous small projects, like 3JS projects, WebGL, GLSL, and like just graphic stuff in general, I never plan. I have like an idea or direction in which I know I want to do to create something. And I do look into like some inspiration, but like I will not open a Figma or like take notes or like plan releases for a small ass component. I just don't do that. For this big of a project though, I learned very, very quickly that the amount of planning you do before actually jumping into the code is directly related to how much of a nightmare you will have later when you realize you need to refactor something. I use Notion, so I started with like an idea of the releases, feature planning, an actual like UX board of where I would like my users to go. So like, right, I did it on here I did it like on Figma very quickly of like a brief idea of what I would like things to go through, the card types to just sort of know how it goes. And it's also a good way for me to like dump ideas of how I would like things to things to work out and how I would like the components to work with each other. But then it came to UI. It's been a while since I designed something from scratch. And don't get me wrong, I am not a product designer. I am not one. I did study it a lot in my previous student career. I know the basics. I know the do's and don'ts of like very, very basic UI design, but it is not my main hat. So I essentially did what I could with this project, and I came up with something that I honestly am a little bit proud of, I have to admit. I did do some research, some inspiration, trying to learn about UI kits in Figma, how to use them properly, layouts as well, that kind of good stuff. And so yeah, I just had some fun. It did take a lot of time and was a little bit therapeutic. But yeah, I truly did realize that I need to learn more things about design. I wasn't the only one working on this. I did have from time to time like designer friends coming in and like helping me out, like giving me ideas, telling me like what to do, not to do, contrasts and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, here it is. Here is the idea of the project. This is why I come with like I have some ideas and where I would like to go. And yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. There's something that I would like to change though, that's for sure. Like that finished game screen is terrible. I don't even want to look at it. But the rest is honestly working. I have my thoughts, I have my ideas, I had my tests right there. It's honestly all right. Could be worse. Could be way better, but could be worse. Something that is hard for me when I just code anything is just not to reinvent the wheel. It's something that I guess a lot of software engineers go through, is something to realize that you don't have to create this by yourself. It's fun. It's fun to do. Like in Figma, for example, like I would love to create my font from scratch, let's say, or like do some research to see like, yeah, but like between two cells, how many pixels do I need in differences, stuff like that. You could do all of that. You don't have to. Everything has been done before you. I just tried my best this time to like sit down and think, okay, do you need to recreate this? Do you need to recreate that? And the answer is no for most of the things in design. I just found a couple of websites that told me like, hey, yeah, usually when it comes to like separating buttons to like a text or whatever, you need this, you need that. You don't have to recreate anything. Just do a little bit of research and it should be good. And you end up with something very simple, but that does work visually. Or at least that was my experience. So yeah, UX UI was a big blocker for me, that's for sure. And also mobile design is way different than obviously desktop design, and that was also a big thing, but yeah. In general, I did have fun here and did learn a lot about UX and UI. Oh, another thing that kicked my ass, that's for sure. These little things right there. This there. Forms. But what is wrong with forms, Marius? Everybody does it, everybody knows how to use it. What the fuck are you talking about? Well, in a big-ass project where I try to be as proactive as possible when it comes to retrieving data and be like clean about it, it fucked me up big time. I didn't know where I was going, how to use it. Did I need to have like one use state for every single variable? And when I was logging in, what happens when I sign up? And I was like this or like that, and I know I would like to use it, blah, 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 blah. Forms sucked for me. I really wanted to, well, there you go, exactly an example of that problem. I really wanted to like sort of reinvent the wheel, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to create my own like form renderer where I dynamically get all of the data, dump them in an object, do this, do that. No. I did rewrite the way I retrieve data from forms multiple times, but now I am pretty consistent about how I do it. Essentially just one state with a big object, on change, dump everything in the new one, set that new variable to that particular object, send that to the actual store, and you will be good. So yeah, this is how I do it. I know I have so many more things to learn in terms of data management on the front end, and forms is a big part of it. So this is just a handful of things I went through. As you can imagine, 3 months of projects. I am not going to be able to talk about everything in one single video. My way of talking like this to a camera about something I worked on is a first for me, and we will see if it's interesting for some people. Was this personal project a waste of time though? No, absolutely not. Some people can see it as is because like it's not going anywhere, nobody uses it. Some people are excited about it though. But overall, I didn't do it for this. I wanted to learn more about consistency, about content management and how to present something to someone else. Well, here the someone else is a camera alone in my Budapest apartment. But yeah, it did do exactly all of this. TypeScript was kind of new. Next was kind of new. Planning, releasing. We didn't talk about deploying and all of that kind of good stuff. AWS, Versal. Woo. Yeah, there were so many things to talk about. And I'm still learning. And this project, even if sometimes I don't want to touch it, I still try to like push through and at least do like one commit every day during the work week. It was a theory before going into this that like huge ass project like this where you try to be consistent are good for you. Now I know that they are, like honestly. And the more and more I do that, the more and more I feel ready to tackle on something even bigger at some point if the opportunity comes. There was this sentence from, I hope I will be able to find it again. This sentence from, oh my God, what's his name? Oh, Ben Howard. I'm really sorry if it's not the right pronunciation. I'm French. I'm not supposed to know how to speak English. Yeah, Ben Howard once said, if one day you have the opportunity to create a new company with someone, you have the choice between two people. The first one knows how to do stuff, the portfolio looks great and stuff like that, but never worked on bigger projects and never failed before to create something. You have the choice between that person or someone who busted their ass so many times on so many different projects, failed so many times, but every time learned from their mistakes. That will be the person you go through. And right now, this is what I'm trying to build, that like foundation of, I want to call them failure, but they don't feel like it. This foundation of like bullshit I work on consistently to be one day able to work on something way bigger. Hope you guys will find this. If that interests you, please leave a follow. I do post some regular content, whether it's short or like whatever projects like that. If you guys like those like one-on-one talks, I enjoyed recording it. I thought it would have been more of a bigger task to be like that in front of my screen, but it does feel a little bit natural right now. And yeah, maybe I can do more in the future. In the meantime, you guys stay safe, much love and happiness. And I see you soon on the internet. Bye-bye.